Welcome back to our third video on this question of the morality of vaccines. In our first video, we looked at the science of vaccines. In our second video, we looked at the question of how we participate in someone else's evil, in the evil that we're not doing, but that somebody else is doing. And now we're going to look at this third question, because the church doesn't simply say, well, then if something's evil, you can just always cooperate in it, so long as you're far enough removed. The church adds another qualification, because the church also says that we can do so if there are no viable alternatives. So the question then is we have to ask is, well, then what are the other alternatives? In other words, if there's two products and they're otherwise the same in their quality and in their efficacy, but one is made using illegal or immoral means, and the other is made using good and natural means. If I choose deliberately the one that is made using immoral means, then I'm also kind of approving of that product. I'm approving of the way in which they made it. If given the choice between two options, then I have the choice of a good option and I don't take it, then I'm also sinning by taking something that is the worse option. Even though if both options are bad, I might be permitted to take it. But if there's a good option out there, we should make every recourse to try and to use that good option. So as I mentioned in the first video, there are certain vaccine companies that are better than others. Certain companies that seek or strive not to use aborted fetal tissue in the production and in the development and in the testing of their vaccines. I named the John Paul II Institute. There are others as well. There are also, like I said, even within the ones that do use aborted fetal tissue, there are varying degrees to which they use it. The AstraZeneca one uses it throughout the whole process, whereas the Pfizer and Moderna vaccines use it only as part of the testing. That's a significant development. And so these are two different kind of alternatives that are provided to us. You know, when I was a kid, my parents believed strongly in being pro-life and in supporting the dignity of every human life from the moment of conception until its natural death. And one of the ways in which my parents lived this out was our family chose to boycott any businesses that through their charitable donations ended up donating to Planned Parenthood, one of the largest abortion providers certainly in the United States. And so there are many companies that in their portfolio of what they give away, that many companies would give away money to support Planned Parenthood, to support this evil industry. And so given the choice between two different products, if there was two boxes of cereal and one was made by a company that didn't support Planned Parenthood and one was made by a company that did, well, our family always bought the one that wasn't supporting Planned Parenthood. We always supported the candy companies or the shampoo companies or any type of product that, you know, if there was an alternative out there, we always strove to try and take the good one. And so there was an organization called Human Life International, and they published this long list of all the companies that donated to Planned Parenthood. And that was something difficult as a child. It meant that I couldn't always have my favorite cereal. All my other friends, they had this great tasting cereal, but I had to eat Raisin Bran, you know, and they had all these, you know, cool candies that I couldn't eat. And there was all these different, you know, smelling shampoos that I didn't have. But out of it came a sense of a responsibility, a sense that I had a responsibility in the choices that I make when I go to the store and I make purchases, that I'm saying something with the money that I spend. That in the money I spend, I'm indicating what I support and what I don't. And so in our supporting of businesses, we can make a kind of a statement. a statement that we're not okay with something. I use that as an example for this question because I think as we get to this question of vaccines, I mean, currently at least there's a number of dilemmas. First of all, it doesn't seem as though Canada is interested in giving us the choice of vaccines. I can't say that for sure. It could be the case that we're given the option of whether we want the Moderna vaccine or the AstraZeneca vaccine or the Pfizer vaccine. It could be that we're given choices, but likely that won't be the case. Likely they'll just simply inject something into our arm. We maybe won't even know which of the companies of vaccines that we're receiving. And so we're stuck with this dilemma then of are we left with only options that use illicit means? As I mentioned, there are some good vaccine companies. Some of those might not have viable vaccines yet. They might still be in the testing phase. They might still be in the production phase. And so there could be many candidates out there, but maybe some that aren't yet available to us. And so that should be the second question that we ask is there a good option available? Are there good candidates that we can receive? Are there ways that we can seek to achieve immunity without these vaccines, without using these particular vaccines that use aborted fetal tissue? So that's an important consideration to suggest. If not, then the Vatican says, well, if we're left with no good choices, then as long as we're sufficiently distanced from one of those bad options, we can make use of it. But if there is a good option, we should always make use of that. And so in our last video, we're going to look now at the document of the Congregation for the Faith, at some of the conclusions that it makes based upon these topics that we've talked about in these videos so far.